This week we talk about hail, or rather ways to fight hail. See you in a minute in the shop. Hi and welcome to S.Chablis for this new week's edition of the Q&A. I hope you had a wonderful weekend here in Chablis. It was rather sunny and really enjoyable. Let's go straight to the question, or rather the comment I received this week from Stefan. I indeed posted an article this week about the way we can protect the vineyard and the investment that is made this year to protect the vineyard, the whole of Burgundy, from hailstorms. And Stephen comment was, how does it work? Well, I'm not a true technical person, so I'll try to give my vision of how it's working. If you have other information, send them over, share on Facebook. That's going to be useful for many people. So indeed, in 2016 in Burgundy and over the previous years, we had to face hail. And you know that hail is basically destroying what it touches. Now, there's a technique that's going to be used in the near future. So you've got three components. You've got compressed air, you've got another container with, I'm going to call that acetone, I don't know the real name in English, but acetone and silver iodine, and then a combustion chamber, which I'm going to call the cannon. So that's the principle behind the protection of a vineyard. Now, before going further, you've got to understand how hail works. And when we talk about weather, you know we're going to talk about warm air and colder air. And that's the ground for hail. You're going to have droplets of water that are brought up to the top of the cloud because of the warm air. And then, because they are getting colder, they might stick to basically ice crystals. And then they go back down, and because of the warmth, they're going to go back up, and so on and so on. And with time, from that tiny crystal and all those cold droplets, you're going to get something that's bigger and bigger and bigger. The only image I can give you, remember cartoons when you were younger, or if you've got kids, you still watch them, and you've got the snowball that's launched at the top of a slope, and that's becoming gigantic at the bottom of a slope. That's exactly the same principle. You're going to have that tiny point, that tiny crystal, and it's going to become bigger, and when it's going to be heavy enough, it's going to fall down. And you've got damages to the vineyard, maybe to trees, maybe to your house, maybe to your car. So that's how hail works. Now, how do those three components work with hail? Weirdly enough, the idea is not to cancel hail, because that's not at this stage something we can do. So by shooting all those tiny silver particles in the sky, you're going to create and saturate the cloud with tiny particles. And the idea is to prevent having a big ice block, but rather plenty of small ones. Just imagine if you receive a golf ball ice cube on your car from the sky, it's going to make a dent. If you just receive plenty of tiny ice cubes, it's not going to have the same impact. So that's really what we're looking at. Hail is still going to be there, but hopefully it's not going to damage the vineyard as much. Now you're going to ask me, is it something sure? Is it a guaranteed technique? I'm afraid it's not. I mean, it's the weather. You can't always control everything. And that's part of the game when you're in agriculture or winemaking. So can it help? Yes, for sure. Is it the safest way to prevent those risks? I can't say yes, and I sure can't say no. Thing is, if you don't try something, you might lose another vintage. Are there other ways? Yes, there are. You could use nets, which are a bit more complicated to use. You could use the same silver iodine technique, but with a plane. It's going to work basically the same way. It's not going to be as cost efficient, and you can also insure. But all those techniques come at a price. And again, you also have to look at, should I protect, and at what price? What should I do? That's a business decision. So I really hope that answered your question. I know it was quite technical. So if you've got more data, if you've got more information on that, send it over, share it on Facebook. You know you're going to find S.Chablis on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, and on Instagram. So share your pictures, share your recipes, and share technical data about ale if you want to. I hope you're going to have a wonderful week. I'll see you in a bit. Bye-bye. And keep on tasting.